Hi everyone, this is Adrienne from Fame Consulting. For today, I have some more tax tips for you. So we are pulling our documents together. We are getting things ready. What do you need to know, right? So I'm here to give you some information about the home office deduction. So for my small business owners, my real estate professionals, especially if you have a side hustle or your main hustle, and you work from home. I know this applies to a lot of people during the pandemic. And you may be interested in figuring out, how can I claim this deduction? So I have gone through the IRS tax tips, and they actually just sent one out recently this week. If you did not receive that email, I'll share a link where you can sign up. But they did share some information about the home office deduction, so I'm going to walk you through the tax tips. These are the IRS's words, not my own. I am sharing the information with you so that you can maximize your deductions this tax season. So, home office deduction. So what is that? It is a deduction that you can take on your tax returns if you qualify and meet certain rules. Of course, that's a caveat to almost everything, right? But there's certain expenses that you can actually deduct that you're probably paying for already, and you didn't even realize that, oh, this could actually be a deduction on my business, on my small business, that I could take so that I can lessen my tax burden and reduce my taxable income. All right, so that is the goal. We all obviously want to follow the IRS rules around this to make sure that we're in compliance. So this deduction is not eligible for employees. So if you work for an employer and they happen to have sent you home because of COVID, and you're like, oh, I'm working from in my house, I have an exclusive space in my house, this does not apply to you. This is for someone who conducts their small business out of their home. So what is a home, right? So there are actually some rules, and I'm going to read this because I learned something today and I wanted to share it with you. So a home includes a house, an apartment, a condominium, a mobile home, or a boat. So that was new for me. So if you have a boat house or you work off of a boat, or a similar property, that also qualifies as well. What types of expenses can you deduct? So you can deduct things like mortgage interest, insurance, utilities, repairs, maintenance, depreciation, and rent. So if you are someone who, you don't own a home, but you work from your home, and your home is your apartment and you're paying rent, your rent is also eligible for this deduction. So one thing I want to highlight is that expenses that relate to a separate structure that is not attached to your house can also qualify. So let's say you have a detached garage or some other type of structure on your property, and you use it like a greenhouse or something like that, or use it exclusively for working purposes. So the rules are exclusive and regularly for working purposes, then that also could qualify. Now, the maximum deduction that you can take if you use the simplified method, which your tax preparer will go over with you, is $1,500. So $1,500 is the maximum you can take if you take the simplified method, which is basically calculating the square footage and multiplying it by $5. That's one option. The one that I'm urging you to kind of collect your information and look into is the regular method, where you would basically get a list of all your deductions, deductible expenses, like your mortgage interest, your utilities, your insurance, and everything related to that home office, Wi-Fi, like things like that. And then actually calculating your square footage in your home. So let's say your apartment is, I'm just using round numbers, but 100 square feet. And the space that is regularly and exclusively used for your home office is 10 square feet. So 10% of all of those expenses that you listed, potentially you might be able to deduct those on your tax return as a home office deduction. Now, there are caveats, there are rules to this calculation. I'm speaking very generally as to how this deduction works. As always, the IRS always has a loophole or a limitation. So your specific tax situation will determine the extent to which you can claim this deduction or not. But I'm giving you the general gist of this. So if this is something you've not heard of before, or, it slipped your mind, whatever the case may be, get with me. Let's figure out if this is something that might apply for you. Start to compile some of that documentation, get those documents together so that you can just go straight into tax season saying, hey, this is something I think I'm eligible for. Can we look into this? How can I do this calculation? Is there a template or something you can support me with, getting a list of my eligible expenses? Help me. So help and support is there. You can definitely look into this deduction, see if this is something that you might qualify for. And if it is, then kudos. Let's, reduce your taxable income to the extent allowable by the tax code. So we always want to maximize our deductions because that will directly impact how much we have to pay in taxes, right? So the goal is always to report what we actually did, but then also maximize the benefits and take credit for the things that we can qualify to claim. So definitely reach out to me on social media. I'll also share a link below this video with my calendar link if you'd like to schedule a call. Again, the IRS is opening to start receiving returns for individuals starting on Monday, January 24th. Business returns, they've already opened on January 7th to receive business returns, so you can actually start filing those if you have them. Also be aware that if you have to issue 1099s, the deadline is the end of January. So if you haven't started working on those or you're not sure what to do, again, reach out so that we can make sure that you can claim all the deductions that are available to you. But there is certain compliance if you do want to claim certain expenses. So if you are someone who is subject to 1099 reporting, please make sure you get those out before the deadline to avoid any penalties related to that. So those are my main highlights of upcoming dates to think about. Yesterday, January 18th, was the deadline for the last estimated tax payment for 2021. So I hope that you got those in. But yeah, I'll be back next week with some more tips and tricks for maximizing deductions during the 2022 tax season. I'll also be talking about some tax credits that, things to think about. Maybe you haven't installed solar panels and you're on the fence and you want to know more about that tax credit. I'll be talking about that too as well. So just, stay tuned, check in on Wednesdays around noon, and I will be here with some more updates. So thank you for checking in.